Back in 2020, Apple TV released a war film set during World War II, which I found to be quite enjoyable, despite a few flaws. Hello, and welcome back to another installment of Film Friday, in which I review a new film every single week. This week we're looking at the war film entitled Greyhound, directed by Aaron Schneider and starring Tom Hanks. As always, this will contain some spoilers, so consider yourself warned. Let's get into it. The story is based upon a 1955 novel by C.S. Forester, and follows Captain Ernie Krause, depicted by Tom Hanks, as he leads a fleet of destroyers through a sea of German U-boats during the Battle of the Atlantic. The runtime of the film is 90 minutes, and the vast majority of that is spent in the midst of non-stop combat. In some ways, it reminded me of Dunkirk, with its unrelenting scenes of war, fully immersing you in the intensity of combat. And this is certainly something which this film, Greyhound, did very well. Attack after attack is launched upon the destroyers by the German U-boats, and as soon as you think one attack is over and a moment of calm has finally arrived, a fresh attack begins. And the U-boats had an obvious advantage. They were hidden below the waterline and detectable only by intermittent radar. In addition to that, the submarines could fire direct missiles at the destroyers, to which the destroyers could only respond with approximately placed depth charges. So the story of Greyhound was overall very well done. But there were two main issues I had with the film. Firstly, I would have liked to learn more about the Captain Ernie Krause. Now, I do not think there should have been any sort of deep dive into his character during the extended sequences of combat. That would have broken up the flow of the film, which is one of its main strengths. But we did learn enough about Krause, helped by an excellent portrayal by Tom Hanks, to know that he was a compelling figure. During the ongoing attacks, he tirelessly led his men, neglecting food and sleep, and even his own personal safety, for the good of those serving under him. There were also several moments of the film which showed him in prayer, which was an interesting aspect to include, in a good way, because it didn't necessarily do anything to drive forward the plot, but it helped to provide a further insight into who this real-life character really was. And there were some scenes of his personal life towards the beginning and end of the film, so it could have been interesting to see those sequences extended. Secondly, I was not terribly impressed by the cinematography of Greyhound. Now, it is true that some of the cinematography was quite well done, and the film as a whole was shot and edited in a way to effectively convey the claustrophobia, on the open sea, of being stuck in a ship while relentlessly attacked by a ruthless enemy. However, it was very clear that the majority of the movie was CGI, which always distracts and detracts from the viewing experience, particularly when it's so obvious. But despite that, and a few minor historical inaccuracies, Greyhound proved itself to be quite a good film, at a solid 7 out of 10. Definitely well worth watching, particularly if you're a World War II buff, or just a fan of Tom Hanks. Thanks for watching, and be sure to comment your own thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more movie reviews and commentary.